Today, Ukraine withstood another missile attack. 18 missiles were launched and 15 of them were shot down. Russia's strike is a revenge for Ukrainian army's strike burning the oil depot in Sevastopol, says ex-KGB officer. Good afternoon, this is Henry Keane and UATV State Channel. We are still alive and unlike God bless our air defense, and as you can see, explaining hard things in easy terms for the whole free world as usual directly from Ukraine. There are a lot of people in Europe, in America, who really want Russia to destroy Ukraine, to kill more Ukrainians, abduct and murder more children, rape more our beautiful women. These people don't really understand what Russia is, but they just somehow like everything big, red and Soviet. And these people are happy every time Russia launches a missile onto Ukraine.
Russia has increased its resources, its reserves, due to China. China donated technology, China gave components. Therefore, now production is not at zero as it was last year, but is already expanding. Plus drones and everything else from Iran continues to actively go. Russia improved its position.
So what about that long-anticipated Ukrainian counter-offensive? The situation on the front lines might appear to be stalled right now, despite the ongoing fierce fighting. However, this is only in a transitional state between Russia's largely failed winter offensive and series of counter-offensive operations by Ukraine. I use the plural form on purpose now. The media talks a lot about Ukraine's next military move and sometimes make it sound like a decisive battle. However, we believe our military leadership and its head, Valery Zaluzhny, is way more wit. That it is more accurate to say that our war effort is a series of operations in different places along the whole front line. There could be pauses between them, just like there was a break between the lightning-fast liberation of the Kharkiv region in September, which took only 6 days, and the more gradual deoccupation of Kherson, which ended on November 11th. We will strike back. However, the scope and methods of upcoming operations will be different. Even though they are spread out over time and space, they are all united by a single objective, the holy grail of this warfare, a complete restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. The truth is that the defeat of Russia means normal life for Europe and the rest of the world. There is no more important task for all of us today. To fulfill this task effectively, we need more weapons and ammunition, and we need all of it to arrive as soon as possible. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny, held a meeting with the commander of the NATO Joint Forces in Europe, General Christopher Cavoli. Zaluzhny informed the commander of NATO forces about the operational situation at the front, discussed with him possible scenarios, existing threats and action plans. A separate topic of discussion was the supply of ammunition equipment as well as the training of the Ukrainian military.
I described likely scenarios, threats and prerequisites for our future actions. We set ourselves the following goal: to train and prepare in such a way as to perform the specific task to the highest possible extent. Valery Zaluzhny, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on Facebook.
In a sense, the counter-offensive of Ukrainian armed forces started back in 2014, when the Kremlin invaded our homelands, annexed Crimea and Donbass, and since then it has never been halted. Even so, it wasn't obvious for bystanders. Today, there are no bystanders. The whole world is with us these days, and we strongly encourage our partners to view the upcoming counter-offensive as it always was, a process with distinct stages rather than a single decisive battle that will determine the war's outcome. We are better than that. We are not in a movie, and you are no spectators of a show. This is a matter of life and death for Ukraine and a question of global security. Have faith in us, dear world. We know Russia came to destroy us. Either we tame it by putting it behind the bars, and I mean the internationally recognized borders of Ukraine, or it will destroy us. And we know the price of the time of every single day. Our boys and girls and men and women in Bakhmut are paying right now, as you watch this, with their own blood, so for us to prepare better and plan more thoroughly. This is why we prepare, and we plan. And then we prepare and plan again. And after that, we prepare even better, and then plan one more time, and as many times as our military command might consider necessary, this time to win the war, not the battle. Putin signed a decree that recognizes all Ukrainians in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine who has no Russian passport as foreigners. This decree will legalize the deportation of Ukrainians if they, I quote Kremlin from now, pose a threat to the national security of Russian Federation. In easy terms, Russia forces Ukrainians living on a temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine to accept Russian citizenship, otherwise they will be charged in a threat to national security, which is punished by deportation, imprisonment up to 25 years, or death penalty. Indeed, what could be more blessed after 24th of February 2022 than having a Russian passport? The whole world is open to you. You can travel to, only Russia, and, just stay in Russia for the rest of your life. Accept this bloody, in all senses of the term, Russian passport, or die. Forced citizenship, or forced deportation, or death. That is how Russia frees Ukrainian lands and treats the civilians it has freed. That is how a citizenship in a Russian way looks like. And we in Ukraine say, accept it. Yes, the Ukrainian authorities consider forced passportization a war crime, but do not recognize obtaining a Russian passport as a crime as such, Ukrainian Ombudsman Dmitry Lubunets emphasized. Moreover, we want you, our fellow Ukrainians, to stay alive in the first place. We say it is necessary to accept Russian citizenship in order to save your very life.
I would advise you to take a Russian passport to make the decision to survive. This is the most important thing. We understand that this happens under physical pressure. Therefore, take a passport, survive, wait until we liberate our lands. After that, under the appropriate law, you will be able to officially renounce Russian citizenship and return to normal life. Dmitry Lubinets, Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights, on the air of the National Teleton of Ukraine.
Putin's decree on forced passportization is nothing but a pretext for further criminal prosecution of Ukrainians living on a temporarily occupied territories and replenishment of the so-called exchange fund for civilians, from civilians, hostages. Don't become one. Adapt. Accept this passport. Stay Ukrainian at your heart. This is way more important than any paperwork. Wait. Then, when back at home, help to rebuild the damage the aggressor caused to our homeland. Ukraine needs you. Stay alive. And what's to all those Kremlin's delusions on how Russia is one of the main powers of the world and every country wants or has no choice to accept these self-made credentials as a bare fact? Well, Russian diplomats began to be expelled on suspicion, or better said, on absolute certainty of espionage already back in early 2022. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Austria, Germany, Bulgaria, Sweden, Denmark, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia and Luxembourg announced the expulsion of Russian diplomats, and totally about 450 Russian citizens from various missions were declared persona non grata. Just to note, for example, Berlin has long attempted to avoid damaging ties with Moscow based largely on the NATO members' need for Russian energy supplies. But Russia's crime of aggression against Ukraine in February 2022 has damaged all the relationship, not only with Germany, but with the whole world, seeking to ease its dependence on Russian oil and gas deliveries, and who seeks will always find. After even when a small Netherlands expelled 17 more Russian diplomats, Dutch Foreign Minister Wopke Hoekstra said that the country was expelling intelligence officers sent to Russian missions in the Netherlands under diplomatic cover, who pose a security threat. And that is what is happening worldwide these days. Russia has started a chain reaction, becoming a worldwide pariah, posing nothing but a threat to the whole world. Well, what's left for a country that can't pose any economic, high-tech, scientific, medical breakthrough threat to the world? That's right, depose a security one. Some pre-word first. Initially, it was assumed that the bulk of Ukrainian grain exports through Poland and other border countries would be sent further, directly to consumers, including those in Asia and Africa. However, in fact, in Poland, as well as in Hungary and Romania, a large amount of Ukrainian products just settled, competing with local producers, or rather said, dumping their home markets. This caused, mildly put it, dissatisfaction among farmers in countries bordering with Ukraine. The influx of cheap Ukrainian products due to the lack of duties has led to the fact that their own products have been decreased competitiveness. Farmers cannot lower the prices of their own products and their production becomes unprofitable. Farmers protested in Poland. Agriculture Minister Henryk Kowalczyk resigned. In mid-April, a temporary ban on the import of Ukrainian products was introduced by Poland, Hungary, Bulgaria and Slovakia. Similar measures were considered by Romania. What is the main benefit of Europe? Not a panacea, no, but the one that makes Europe strong and keeps the economical and political union of all so different countries together. Ability to negotiate. Throughout the years, problems, presidents, situation, taxes, borders and all sorts of problems, Europe survives solely because it can negotiate. Even and especially through the times of war. The European Commission has reached an agreement with the countries of Central Europe to limit the imports of grain and other food products from Ukraine. It concerns 5 countries: Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia and Bulgaria. Earlier, the countries unilaterally imposed an embargo on the import of Ukrainian agricultural products.
I'm glad to announce that we have reached a political agreement concerning Ukrainian agri-food imports in the EU. So we agreed with 5 neighboring EU member states and Ukraine on how we'll tackle the situation. So European Commission will propose emergency safeguard measures for 4 most sensitive agricultural products: wheat, maize, rapeseed and sunflower seed. We'll put forward safeguard investigations for several other products. There is going to be a financial support package for farmers in a neighboring member states of 100 million euros, some other elements. In return, the neighboring member states will be withdrawing their unilateral measures. So we have a solution which is addressing concerns both of farmers in neighboring member states and of Ukraine.
Bans on the imports of Ukrainian grain and other food products introduced unilaterally by several EU countries are not a viable solution. This was stated during the meeting in Luxembourg to the Ministers of Agriculture and Fisheries of the EU. The countries previously announced the unilateral import bans would have to lift it and act in concert with each other and with the European Commission.
Greece shares the disproportionate burden places on neighboring EU member states in Ukraine and understands the reaction and mobilization of their farmers. But unilaterally national measures are not a viable solution and should be avoided. Konstantinos Baginetas, Secretary General of the Ministry of Agriculture of Greece.
So you can eat your cake and have it, obviously. You just have to be in the European Union. I mean, again, there's no panacea. There is a problem and some farmers were hurt. Some interests were harmed and someone is always unsatisfied. However, even someone whose right were infringed understands it perfectly well. Next time, he can use that powerful feature of negotiation in the Union and protect his own rights. In easy terms, this is how it works in the European Union, you see. Of course, there are all sorts of problems and all sorts of vice inherent in any human community. Corruption, criminal activity or inactivity, corporate lobbying, there are difficulties and often these difficulties cannot be overcome. And yet, they can. If you negotiate and not ban what you didn't like simply because you didn't like it, is it hard? Certainly. But fighting the war is even harder, ladies and gentlemen. Losing the lives of our young boys and girls is even worse than the unpleasant decrease in prices for your farmers. The hunger in countries in need with which the aggressor blackmails the whole world is even more terrible. The future, in which everyone pursues only their own interests and spits on everyone else, is not the future. It is called the past. That is exactly how Russia behaves, you see, and that is why it has no future. It was Henry Keane on UATV State Channel breaking hard truth in easy terms directly from Ukraine. Stay safe and tune for more tomorrow.